Lieutenant Commander Ava Sinclair stood at attention in a room full of men who had spent 30 years deciding who belonged and who did not. The Admiral looked at her file, smirked, and asked what her call sign was, expecting a joke he could laugh at in front of his staff. She answered in a flat, quiet voice. The room did not laugh. It went silent instead, and that silence would follow him for the rest of his career. Ava had spent 6 years earning a reputation nobody wanted to say out loud. She flew reconnaissance missions that were never mentioned in briefings meant for outsiders, and she carried herself like someone who had learned that being underestimated was often the safest place to stand. When she was reassigned to the Pacific Fleet Planning Division, she expected paperwork, coffee runs disguised as meetings, and men who would ask her to fetch files instead of read them. She did not expect Admiral Frank Delacroix, a decorated SEAL commander with a talent for making junior officers feel small in front of an audience. Her first week, he called her by the wrong rank twice. Her second week, he asked if she had ever actually been in the field or just read about it. She answered every question with the same calm patience her mother had taught her growing up on a ranch in Montana, where you learn to handle a spooked horse without raising your voice. The tension came to a head during a planning session for a classified joint exercise. Delacroix wanted to run the tabletop drill with the senior officers only, treating Ava as an observer meant to sit quietly in the corner. When one of his own analysts made an error in the terrain assessment, an error that would have put an entire simulated unit into a canyon with no exit, Ava spoke up. She corrected the coordinates, cited the exact ridge line elevation from memory, and suggested an alternate route that cut extraction time nearly in half. The room went quiet in a different way that time. Delacroix stared at her for a long moment before waving it off as luck. He asked her, in front of the entire staff, what her call sign had been back when she flew missions nobody wanted to talk about, expecting her to admit she never had one, expecting to catch her in an exaggeration. Ava met his eyes without blinking. She said the words quietly. Night Fox. A junior intelligence officer at the far end of the table dropped his pen. Another officer, a commander who had served 2 tours with a classified reconnaissance wing, straightened in his chair like he had been struck. Delacroix's smirk faded into something closer to confusion, because Night Fox was not a joke call sign or a nickname a rookie gave herself. It was the designation of a pilot whose missions had been credited with saving an entire special operations team pinned down in hostile terrain during an operation still sealed under classification, a mission Delacroix himself had studied in a leadership seminar without ever learning the pilot's name. The silence stretched long enough that Ava could hear the air conditioning hum. She did not gloat. She did not raise her voice. She simply opened the folder in front of her, the one Delacroix had dismissed as unnecessary paperwork, and slid it across the table so he could see the redacted commendation with her service number on it. He read it twice. His hands, the same hands that had commanded platoons through some of the most dangerous terrain in the world, went still on the table. He looked up at her, and for the first time since she had arrived, he saw her clearly, not as a name to mock in front of an audience, but as someone who had earned every quiet word she spoke. 3 weeks later, Delacroix requested Ava by name to lead the planning cell for the joint exercise she had once been told to observe from the corner. He never apologized in front of the staff, because some men show respect through actions instead of words, but he started introducing her by her full rank, and he stopped making jokes about anyone's file before he had read it himself. Ava never told anyone what Night Fox had cost her, the nights she still remembered too clearly, the friends whose names she carried quietly. She only ever said that being underestimated had taught her patience, and that patience was its own kind of strength, one that outlasted every smirk in every room she ever walked into. The lesson was simple, and it was lasting. Respect is not given by rank or by reputation. It is earned in silence, carried through hard years, and revealed only when someone finally chooses to listen. If Ava's silence hit you harder than any argument ever could, hit like, drop a comment telling us who you would want in your corner, and subscribe for more stories about quiet strength that refuses to be underestimated.